Hey, welcome back to another LP Magazine podcast. And I'm really happy today to be here with two of my favorite people in the entire industry. And they're kind of looking like brothers today. Like, are you guys maybe related somehow?
My brother from another mother.
Yep. So I'm here with Rhett Asher and I'm here with Tony Sheppard. For those of you that are just listening onto the podcast or not tuned in, you can't see the visuals. You got to look at the video because then you'll see what I'm talking about with the beards. You guys are looking scarily alike.
Like I said before we started recording, we just got to get Rhett his own cowboy hat, and then we'll wear those for the next call.
Yeah, Rhett does need a cowboy hat. So the purpose of today's podcast is we're going to have a little fun, joke a little bit, which I mean, it's impossible not to joke around with you guys. But we're also going to talk about something really cool that's happening with ThinkLP and Alto. But before we get into that, for those of you in the audience that don't know Tony and Rhett, how about you guys just introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your companies? Do you want to start off, Rhett?
Sure. Appreciate it, Steph. And like you said, super happy to be here. And Tony's one of my favorite people, which is why I'm trying to look like him. So, uh, but anyway, so Rhett Asher, Senior Vice President of Partnership Development at ALTO. And ALTO is an organization that works with retailers and other vendors like ThinkLP to really mitigate the business disruptions going on in retail stores that make the employees and customers feel unsafe in that environment.
Awesome. Well, that was a very quick summary of a solution that's really unique. Full disclosure, I did work at Alto and with Rhett for a little while.
Yep.
It's pretty cool stuff that you guys do, very unique in the industry, and I'm sure we're going to jump more into that. But from there, let's go over to you, Tony. And the reason why you're going second is because you were late to our call, by the way.
Oh, I thought it was because I was younger. I thought we were doing elders first. Sorry. So Tony Sheppard, I'm the VP of Retail Risk for ThinkLP, and really internally more of like an industry advisor for ThinkLP. So I help them with their product direction and marketing, some other things. I've been in the industry a long time, just like the other folks on this call, and excited to be here. Thanks for having us. And ThinkLP, for those you don't know, is a loss and safety intelligence platform, primarily focused on incident management, case management. We also have audit, analytics, exception-based reporting, and basically all your software needs. We're not any kind of hardware company, just strictly software, and very excited about the integration with Alto, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I am, like I said, super excited to hear the details, the nitty gritty about this. But to me, it's a perfect marriage, if you will. You know, your ThinkLP is one of the premier data companies out there. You guys have done a great job helping retailers not only take in the data, digest it, but also then do stuff with it, right? Not just having it sit in a silo somewhere. And I think that's a great marriage with Alto because you guys are the boots on the ground, right? The folks that are really interacting with that data out in the field. That's where I'm going with it. But you guys tell me if I'm completely off base, and kind of tell me what inspired this partnership.
Yeah, so I can go first. So, and funny, Steph, you mentioned being working with me here at Alto, and I worked with Tony at ThinkLP. So it's that 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of thing going on the call, which is kind of cool. But no, so one of the reasons, and I know Tony and I've talked about this, that this relationship is so cool, is that as Tony mentioned, ThinkLP is a comprehensive data platform that brings a lot of data from their customers into one place, that for one version of the truth. And that's similar to what we do. We use that data to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, about keeping stores safe and mitigating those business disruptions. We use that data to then hold the offenders in those stores accountable. And the way we do that is using that data, working through law enforcement, the DA's office, and all the other community stakeholders that are involved in holding offenders in the community accountable. That data, the more data we have, allows us to better prosecute and hold those offenders accountable. So this is a marriage that's perfect because we work very well together, and each of us helps do something that we can't do on our own.
Yeah, to add to that stuff, I mean, again, was in the industry a long time. So this is, certainly I'm familiar with what Alto does, certainly from working with Rhett and obviously even just interacting with you, Steph, is that I believe in what you guys are doing. I lived in that space. For those of you who don't know, again, I dealt in the repeat offender world or the ORC world for a long time, and I know where the gap is when it comes to that. That last few yards, I guess I'll reference Rhett's NFL analogy there, but I think that's important for retailers, and again, that's not something that obviously Think LP provides, right? So what best way to help our customers is to allow them to easily follow through on that with Alto, right? And so the same thing with other. I mean, Rhett mentioned it. The single source of truth or single pane of glass. I mean, we don't do a lot of things, but we want to make sure that we integrate with those that do, right, for the benefit of our customers. And at the end of the day, I lived in that world. I know Rhett did live in that world a long time ago as well, and they got a lot going on, right? And it's a lot to manage, a lot of stuff to sift through, a lot of data. You guys both brought that up. And so, we want to make things as easy for our end users as possible, right? And whatever we can provide that makes it seamless for them to get the information to Alto to do what they need to do for their customers or our joint customers. I think it's a win-win. And I know many of our customers are super excited about this. So
Yeah. It's awesome. You talked about data, and we always kind of worry about data overload. And I'm sure your retailers worry about that. And Alto, you guys keep that in mind. So, how exactly would this integration lead to the reduction of incident resolution times? I'm hoping that
Well,
that's where we're going with it, right? We're going to try to get to the end result quicker. So, how would this partnership lead to that?
and I think that there are a few retailers out there, probably a lot more than even Tony and I know about, but Tony and I have attended many meetings at retail headquarters where they've talked about strengthening this vendor ecosystem and how working in silos with different solution providers is great because they bring a kind of a singular focus to a problem. But a lot of industry people like Mike Lamb and Jeannie over at AutoZone and some other companies, they've done a great job at bringing their solution providers together and challenging to find ways to work together to be better. And so I think this integration probably is a result of some of those conversations where it's great that you have the data, and it's great that you have a company that's helping you do something with that. But I think this is going to strengthen that collaboration by allowing kind of almost an end-to-end solution. So making it easier, one place to enter data, one place for data to flow, yet it's going through multiple solution providers and providing a more efficient and effective outcome.
Right. So Tony, what do you think? How is this feed, or however we're envisioning this, how is this going to decrease resolution times?
yeah, I mean, to Rhett's point, right? So our customers obviously are already using Think LP, right? And so they
Mhm.
have, basically like an app, at the locations, right? And they can use any type of device, right, to input the information. The idea is that okay, that information's in there. Now we have it, right? They're using Alto. You need to get it to Alto. Why not have it so when they submit it, it can then get pushed to Alto, right? To your point, saving time, right? In order to get it to them quicker. The other thing is that, we're working on some advancements as well from a Think LP standpoint that are also going to help with this from an Alto standpoint when we have more of our advanced crime linking as well, to where some of that may be linked ahead of time before it even arrives at Alto. So then again, I know that's part of what Alto does, correct me if I'm wrong, but again, trying to ensure that people are held accountable for all of the activity that they committed, not just one or two incidents, but every incident associated. So that way, that they're not getting the proverbial slap on the wrist in court when they've impacted a company 7 times versus 2 times that we might know about. So it's the speed and it's the ease of use at the location, right? There's no reason for companies to have, okay, I'm going to report this. I got to go to this app. I'm going to report this. Like that doesn't make any sense, right? And so we want to
Right.
make it easy for that end user to be able to submit it. And then again, speed to make sure that it gets to where it needs to go quickly to ensure that these things are addressed as rapidly as possible.
Yeah, and
So
Tony, I
Rhett,
think you brought up a good point. I think it's also the quality of that data. So for us, by ourselves, we're getting a lot of wonky data, right? Whereas with this relationship, everybody knows that ThinkLP has the ability to slice and dice data in a very concise way. Matter of fact, your own customized way. And so that integration now for customers allows them to push quality data to us, to Alto. And so we take that quality data and then use that in the courtroom, right? And so I think it's a quality issue, it's a quantity issue, and it's a fast, efficient, single source of truth issue. So us getting together really makes it super easy for the retailer to just kind of set things up, stand back, and watch the magic happen.
Yeah,
yeah,
and Steph, you brought it up earlier on, right, about the fact that we have a lot of data in our system, but data is by itself doesn't mean it's taking action on that data, right? So we have the data, our customers have the data, getting the data at Alto to take action on the data is where the importance is.
okay, awesome. So how does the integration then work in your platform? Is it a push-pull situation, or is it just pushing the data out to Alto? How does it actually work?
It's a push now to Alto, and Rhett,
Okay,
jump in here if I say anything incorrect, but it's a push now. But we're working, as I said, on some of our future enhancements that we have, where we want to get to a point where we have that secondary two-way integration, meaning like the disposition of those cases to feed back into ThinkLP for the same reason. Again, why would I have to go somewhere else if I could just have it fed out and then fed back in? And so that's phase two, we'll call the integration. But that coincides again with some of the other stuff that we're working on at ThinkLP from a linking standpoint as well.
Yeah,
awesome.
I think I agree. I think it's kind of a crawl, walk, run, but I think phase two was super important, right? We get that data, we're able to action on it, get those prosecutions or those favorable outcomes. But I think the pull piece is going to even further strengthen that relationship and further strengthen the that collaborative piece and the efficiency because now what we can do is the outcomes of those adjudications, right? Now go back to the retailer seamlessly as soon as they happen. And then the retailer can then again do whatever they have to do on that data. So if there's restitution that's awarded now through your system, they can go through and have that set up automatically. So it comes back, they go right to the restitution process. If there's some other activity, maybe a stay away order from the store, that retailer now gets that instantly. So it really is going to make the whole process from beginning to end super easy for the retailer and allow them to just send the data, sit back, and like I said, wait for the magic to happen. But it makes the whole process so simple.
Where my brain is rushing to, and maybe I'm way ahead of it here, but I'm thinking, okay, Alto, it does such a great job with having these attorneys out in the field and other folks, with the boots on the ground, and they're looking at all these different cases and making the connections. Is there a time that you guys see in the future where that ThinkLP platform could share that information among the different retailers where we could start to really make some connections among cases?
Steph, you're giving away our secrets
Oh,
now.
sorry.
Talking ahead of time. So that's what I was referring to is we do have some stuff coming out early next year. We have customers in a pilot now, coincidentally, on that very topic in reference to crime linking across retailers, and then also more to come next year. But my point to that though, I do think that that also adds value from an Alto standpoint again, right, as well, right? So, I mean, we all know, and I did ORC for many, many years, right? When you go to these court proceedings, if someone's got, two instances, three, it's a very different conversation when you're able to articulate multiple instances. And I think to your points, it would be great to be able, future state, to be able to do that across retailers because that also adds value because then you have multiple brands that were impacted. So I don't want to give away too much because we're a little early, but I think again that's definitely coming, and I think that that's going to benefit certainly our customers, and it's going to benefit Alto customers, and certainly the customers that we have jointly, without question.
Yeah, and think about even from a different jurisdictional courts that
Yeah.
some states you can prosecute at a certain level, some you need multiple cases together. Like that will allow so much more effective case building, not just for the retailer to push to us, but allow us now to not have to worry about whether or not we're in a jurisdiction that where you have to have multiple offenses or whatever. We're going to have such big cases that now, with so many dots connected and so many different things put together, that it really is going to allow for much stronger cases, and hopefully longer, don't come back terms.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that kind of takes me to my next question. We talk about building or C cases and things like that, but how will your solutions combined help affect the safety inside the store? Um, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think Tony alluded to that, though, and we were talking about this earlier, is the bigger cases, the longer sentences lead to much safer stores, right? Because those recidivists, now you've reduced the amount of time those people are going to be in the stores once that court case is adjudicated and there's some sort of a favorable outcome for the retailer. That means that person's not coming back. And we're already seeing a pretty good, significant recidivist mitigation rate now, but I think with ThinkLP's integration, that's going to even drive down further. Wouldn't you agree, Tony?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And again, I lived in that world for many years. And I think that, again, it's funny because, retailers are always challenged with how do they articulate, the return on investment for any people headcount, whatever it is they're doing, right? And I think that when it comes to the external theft piece, that's always a challenge. But I think part of it is what would have happened had you not done something, right? So again, you've got somebody who's repeatedly hitting you. Okay, now again, system-wise, everything runs smooth. The information gets to the right parties. In this case, Alto, they represent the retailer. Now that person is incarcerated maybe for 90 days, or they're trespassed from these companies, or whatever the case may be. But I think that there's value in that future state. We're always looking at what did they do already, right? But what is it that they're not able to do now because they're either locked up or they're prevented from going there or whatever the case. Or maybe they just realize that it isn't easy to do that anymore, or at least at this company. So they're just not going to come back, right? And so, I think that there's a lot of value there. Again, with the combined technologies, and again, we're super excited. Again, we've got customers asking. By the way, I can't get over Rhett's background, the football background, because it's almost playoff time. So I'm super excited, and I know we'll see. I think you guys will both be at the NRF Big Show actually, which is around the playoffs, I believe. So maybe we'll see some playoff games there.
Yeah.
Hey, you might see us in a jersey at the big show as well.
You won't see me in a jersey. No, I'm so ashamed this year of my team. I can't even. But yeah, I mean, literally, this is the red zone this time of year, right? At the end of the year, and we're all worried about where theft's going and safety issues. So if I'm a Alto one of the team and I'm out in the field, is there a way for me to, with your software, Tony, not only put that there's a theft incident, but there was also some violence, and is that like highlighted, like so it's brought to
Yeah,
like,
that's the beauty again of ThinkLP is, and I think Brett mentioned it earlier, is the ability to customize. So we have folks that use us for all types of different reporting. It could be, disruptions in the store. If it's a violent incident, certainly that can be checked as violent. So that we have the ability to basically collect whatever information you want and however you want to collect it to ensure it goes to the right folks. And yeah, it's not just about the theft. Obviously, retailers are dealing with, and I know Alto addresses this as well, a lot of other disruption to business that isn't necessarily theft related.
yeah. So for those folks that maybe aren't as familiar with Alto or not as familiar with ThinkLP, I always like to kind of get back to basics. Walk me through a scenario on how a retailer would use Alto now integrated with ThinkLP. So let's say that there's an incident, it's a violent incident, and something happens in the store. So Rhett, how would your team get involved with a retailer who's got your services on board?
Well, that's a great question. So typically, that incident is entered into whatever the case management, in this case, ThinkLP, And that is pushed directly to our team in the field. When there is a violent incident, I will tell you that part of the beauty of Alto is that we have a relationship with the store team as well. So in many cases, if it's not just a typical shoplifting incident or, or our ORC smash and grab, it's something that affects the safety directly, immediately of the team. Obviously, they're going to follow their company's procedure and call 911 and all that good stuff. Typically, though, that second call is to our team that's in the field. We will get over there, ensure that there's, a police presence there, make sure that the details of the incident are correctly documented because obviously data is king, right? And so that gets pushed through ThinkLP, but it also immediately, and Tony can talk about that back end part, is does all that connecting, marries all that data through so that as we're working that incident, now we've connected it to, multiple incidents, right? So that integration is going to allow there to be a lot more data flow from that incident, connect it to either other stores in the area that the two of us are working on or other companies that we're working that are part of that whole kind of alliance. And then our legal team gets to work, right? Our legal team now starts doing offender searches. They start working that case legally. They ensure there's a detective assigned to the case and that, there's a court date set. And they literally provide the retailer through with ThinkLP and also through the court system complete visibility. And so we talk about the football analogy of the red zone. The incident doesn't stop at an arrest, right? Because we all know that the court systems and all the other stakeholders within the community, they're just as under-resourced and overtaxed and busy as everybody else. And so our team provides that total visibility from the time that person's arrested until adjudication. And now with this integration, they're going to be able to show complete visibility from that point to the adjudication, not just to the client directly, but now ThinkLP will be able to track that. And so there'll be that whole collection of data. This is gonna make that red zone to end zone process, as we talk about, so much more visible to the client. And the clients are now, the retailers are going to be able to see exactly what happens after the arrest. And then through a ThinkLP integration, track that, marry that with other data that's super important. And it's going to be a visibility that people have not known prior to this integration.
Awesome. That's a great breakdown. Tony, anything that you want to add to that?
No, I agree with everything that Rhett just said. I mean, I think that again, it's that those last few yards, right? That Alto is taking care of, and they're using us for obviously other things within the location. But even the reports themselves, you mentioned earlier, like check off its violence. We have back end workflows built in, so when something does happen, based on the criteria of what happens, certain people are notified, certain people are assigned tasks, and this, to ensure that they follow up. Like, employees are like, did HR get with the employees to give them the EAP number? All those different types of follow-up things that are going to happen based on the criteria of the report. And then obviously Alto just taking it, again, taking it into the end zone, ensure that happens. And that I can't stress enough. I mean, that's near and dear to my heart because, like I said, I dealt with it for many, many years. And I know that that's always been a challenge for retailers to ensure that. And I know that when no one goes to court and no one shows up, I know what happens when that happens.
Nothing.
So I believe in what they're doing. And again, for us to be able to assist our customers and getting that information to them quicker and to Rhett's point in a very digestible manner to be able to act on that information is just huge. And it's a big win for our customers, co-customers, especially.
Yep. Yep. And, I think we're seeing some improvements, but we still have a really long way to go in the justice system of making sure that these things are taken across the goal line, right? And I think it all starts with, as you guys are saying, it's, packaging things up into a nice, neat case that's very understandable, making sure that it gets reported to the police, and then having someone like Alto or the retailer follow up on it, making sure that we go to the court case and that, subpoenas are issued if they, just things like that. Like all these things we think, and we over the years are like, oh, it's a given that it gets done. It's not a given at all.
Isn't that
So,
definitely not? That's for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, I think this is awesome. Like I said, I'm so happy you guys have gotten together, and I think it's just going to make just the retailers' lives so much easier. I hope many more customers come on board with both of you guys, and we continue to see this grow. Any final parting words, football predictions, anything you want to share?
Listen, I think these kind of relationships are critical to driving real change in this industry. We've moved the needle quite a bit over the last, 20 plus years, but I don't think there's enough of this type of solution provider collaboration. I'm super excited about working with ThinkLP. I think the whole challenge of bringing the ecosystem together to make things better than they are singularly, I think is great. And frankly, we don't know what we know. We don't know what we don't know yet, right, Tony? I mean, this relationship is going to allow us to explore a lot of different ways to help the retailer. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing. And yeah, predictions for sports. I'm going to throw it out there that my Washington, whatever description you want to call them after that, Commanders, Redskins, however you what it, I'll just say Washington. I think we're going to actually win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, Rhett. I think that I have two teams, as you know. I grew up a Detroit Lions fan, so certainly
Detroit
rooting
has
for
been looking
them.
good.
And then I've lived in Houston now for over 20 years, so I have the Texans as well. Although I still need to get you that ornament that I showed you the picture of that interception. That was pretty cool. I knew you'd appreciate that.
Oh, the Hail Mary
Yes,
that
yes.
broke Stephanie's heart this season. Yeah.
Can we not
Oh, I
talk about
forgot.
it?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Steph. That wasn't intentional. That wasn't intentional.
Thanks for going there. All
Uh,
right. Well, I wish you both the best of luck. Happy holidays. And I'm sure I will see you very soon at a trade show near you. But thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Likewise.
Thank
Thanks.
you.